What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I'm here with Manny, so we'll roll the intro and let's get started. Okay, so Manny, do you want to give me your full name, your age, and then just where you're born?
All right, yeah. So my full name is Gonzalez. I was born in Colombia.
And how old are you?
29 years old. I was born 1990. I came to the state when I was 1998 around. 1998, 1999. Came to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And just grew up there.
And so you were born in Colombia, though, right?
Yeah, born in Colombia.
And then first 8 years of your life, Spanish speaking, playing just on the streets or wherever? Or?
Yeah. Well, there, soccer's everywhere. Streets, club. Some professional teams have the youth club, and played for a little youth club there, and didn't get too much to. I remember some of the stuff there, but just basically playing in the streets. Down Colombia, it's a different culture, soccer everywhere. So
it's the main.
Yeah, it's like the main. Yeah. There's no other sport there. So that's all you grew up watching or grew up playing. And then when I came here to the States, I think one of the first things my dad did was, instead of finding a school first, he found a soccer club.
Really?
Yeah, swear to God. I got into a soccer club first rather than the school. So
that's funny. That's
it's
the
a
first
good
thing.
Yeah, it's a good memory.
So did you start playing with a team at age of 5, or when was your first team?
Yeah, so my first team down in Colombia was around age 5, and really competitive there. And there you play 2-3 years up. It's very common for you to, or if your parents want, or if you're good enough, you can play 2-3 years up. So I remember there you're playing against bigger kids, and I think that makes you way better in the streets as well. If you're the little one, you're getting bullied. And the streets, it's good players out there. It's just random pickups in the street with your friends. You put 2 rocks. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some movies, but you put 2 rocks in the streets, and there's their goal. Little goals there.
Yeah,
and that's
cool. How many days, out of a normal week, how many are we playing soccer?
Every single day, Monday through Sunday, you play there. Yeah, that's all you play.
I feel like everybody outside of the U.S., it's so funny, the U.S. kids are I played Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with my team. And then everybody that grew up outside of the U.S. is every single day.
Oh, every single day. And then if you're not playing with the club or the soccer organization that you're with, you're playing with your friends. Here, it's funny, when I first came down to the States, I remember PE class. You grab a soccer ball, you're the weird one. You have to learn to play basketball. But there, I mean, in recess, there's no basketball or nothing else. It's just soccer. So you're playing soccer every day, before, after school. Those are good memories. But I think the States are now.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting way better.
Yeah. And then do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, so I have an older brother. He also played. He actually played professional for 2 years. And I have a younger sister. So
okay.
Yeah.
And did your dad play pro at all?
Yeah, so my dad played professional in Colombia for 5-6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. He played there in the Colombian league, and back then he got a bad injury, and he had to stop playing. But he's I think he also grew up with that system, and from there you get the love of soccer. So
so it's just in your blood, Yeah, that's cool. Why'd you move to Fort Lauderdale?
So I have a big family, and a lot of my mom's family, a lot of her sisters were already in Fort Lauderdale. They were established, and back then, Colombia wasn't the safest place at the time. Back in the 90s, there was a lot of the cartels and all that stuff. So my parents wanted a better future for us, and just came to the States.
Okay. And so you had some extended family in that area too?
Yeah, so Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So my mom has 8 sisters, so
wow.
It's a lot of, there's actually 9 sisters. So 4 or 5 of them were already established in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all South Florida area. And I think it was a good area to go to, because there's a lot of Spanish community out there, so it wasn't like a big culture shock.
Yeah, I can see that. It's pretty easy transition.
Very, very easy.
And you probably go to most restaurants and everything. And
definitely, it's a lot of Colombian restaurants there, and you can get away with speaking Spanish.
Yeah, and then so you just started. Your dad first found the soccer team for you.
Yeah,
club team. Soccer. And then you got into school. How was learning English and all that stuff?
English was the easiest thing, just because you come at such an early age. At 8 years old, I think 4 months later you learn English.
And it's not like you're having super deep conversations.
No, not at all. Yeah. And then with soccer too, it was. I think I got the English part. With soccer, I also met my teammates. lot of obviously American kids, and they also helped me. So I was learning English in school and soccer. So.
Yeah. And were you still playing every single day in America?
No. Then the transition came different because now, it's not so common for you to play in the streets. So it was only in club. No one wanted to play in school. So, no, it definitely was. That was a big change.
Yeah. Yeah, I even remember that, too. Like, I was the same way in, like, elementary school.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, I want to play soccer because I was just always 5 years old playing, but then everyone wanted to play like
football or flag football or
So I played basketball, so that was easy. But I just played basketball every recess.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because no one wanted to play soccer, but I remember you ever played kickball.
Yeah.
That's like the closest. So I would be the first one
blast the ball.
Yeah. It's like baseball and soccer, so that was fun.
Did you find like when you were with your club team that you played for? Did you find like the like, I mean, it's you don't want to brag, but like, were you a little bit better than everybody else?
Yeah, of course. So that comes with the fact that, down in Colombia, since you're doing it every day and you're playing a lot of older guys, my brother's older, his friends were older, and my cousins were older, because you're playing that, a lot of better people, obviously when you do come to the States, you see when here it's very big that you play your age, unless you want to play up. But if you go down to your age, if you come from that environment, you feel, you're a lot better.
Yeah. And because you're a center mid, you play center mid, defensive center mid, and some attacking center mid too. Were you always a center mid?
Always a center mid. Yeah. I've always been, I've really haven't had another position there, so that's good. Yeah. Ever since a young age, I've kind of established in one position.
What was your brother and your dad play?
So my brother was a left back, and my brother is also a left-footed, but my brother was a center mid.
Okay.
So my brother played for New York Cosmos in the NASL for 2 years, and he was playing left back, center mid. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. It's funny. Like, I feel like because I'm playing right back, but like if I'm gonna have my kid, I want to push him like center mid because you get so many touches on the ball, especially the youth level.
Yeah.
And then you can maybe find your position when you grow up. But like center mid, you're always touching, going vision. It's awesome.
It's a good position, but for me, when I always joke that obviously I'm not very fast or strong. That's just the way you're built, and so I had to just pick a position also where it suits me, because if even then I wasn't very fast. But not that I don't, I'm like decent, but if you pick a position where just physically you can't do it, you get exposed. Like if I was to play a wing or trying to defend, you just get exposed. So I think as you grow up, you kind of establish yourself. As younger, I used to play like almost as an offensive mid and even attack more. But as you kind of get into the college or the pros, you start seeing, well, maybe I'm not, So maybe you start coming down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's to a position,
Because I was like right winger and even like even forward sometimes. Like in college, I played forward.
Really, forward?
Yeah,
really.
And I was like, but all the goals I scored were like headers and tap-ins and stuff.
That's
I wasn't shooting from long range. And then so it was like, and when I would take people on, it was the same way I take people on now, just like feint and then just sprint. So I was like, maybe let's move back a little bit.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You start really high. That's what happened to me. I was like really number 10, and I was going high. And then as come to pro level, you start you kind of find your way. What suits you better.
And the same thing, like I was like always like faster and like athletic, so I was like, let's put him on the wing or like the right back where he can bomb forward. Or something.
Yeah, so that's good. That's
the same thing. Like you kind of naturally find that,
Yeah, and it's smart to find that,
Yeah. And then so you're playing now with your team. Did you play any other sports growing up?
No, growing up there wasn't any other sports.
Yeah. Just soccer.
Just
and then
soccer. Yeah.
Did you do any extra training with your dad and your brother?
Yeah, for sure. That helps too. That my dad, I always said, he's like addicted to soccer. So am I. For me, soccer's like number one thing. You always play with them, with your uncles, your cousins. Spanish families. We have a big family.
Yeah.
They all. The good thing is they all play soccer, so it was easy for me. Always doing extra training. Since my dad played professional, he kind of knew what are good things to kind of work on, so that helped me a lot. Yeah.
That's cool. And then so you're grown up like from 8 all the way up until like high school level, and just continuing just to do every year, just playing. And
for sure.
Pop out anything crazy, or is it just kind of like standard every year training and playing?
I think it was very standard. I think I got here in 99. I think it was 99, and I just remember coming here and soccer was big, but I just remember we didn't practice enough. Sometimes it would be 1 time a week, 2 times a week, and it was travel soccer. I think as the years kind of went by, it got even better. More teams came in, more kids started to play soccer. So you kind of what was standing out for me was you were getting a lot more training, 3 times, maybe 4 times a week. You start, going with your team and training, more games, more tournaments to go to. So as the years progressed, I think that helped me a lot, because back, I think, from like 8 to like 12, it's very basic. It was two times a week you played, and sometimes you had a game on the weekend, but a lot of months will go by and maybe no games or maybe no friendlies. So that kind of stood out for me as the year progresses. Makes sense.
So like it's just like your weekly hours that you're putting in increased every year.
Yeah, so that kind of stood out, and that helped me a lot. That definitely helped me a lot. Yeah.
And then how was high school? Like, were you a standout in high school and everything?
Well, so for my high school soccer back then, I used to be, I don't know if you guys remember the ODP, the ODP. So I come in high school, I really got into the ODP thing. So I only played like a year and a half. I think I played 2 years I played for high school, and the other 2 I didn't. My freshman, sophomore year. Back then with the ODP development program, they used to have like the region teams and all that stuff. So they didn't kind of let us play too much in high school, and we had a lot of tournaments with them. And so, you just didn't have time to play in high school. So my freshman year, I did play, and a little bit of my sophomore year.
Okay, so then it was just like ODP. Then so like that's a really serious level.
Yeah.
Especially back then, that was like
that was like
what the goal was to play for.
Yeah, for sure. So it was good that I was able to to get in that process, and it was just club with them, and your tournaments with your club team and your your games, and then even you had to sometimes skip those, because with the region team. It got serious. Sometimes you had trips in like Brazil or Argentina, or you had a lot of tournaments inside the U.S. So you stayed busy.
Yeah, I bet. Just constant.
Something. Constant. Yeah, something to do. So it was good.
And then what did you do after high school?
So after high school, I went to college to Florida Gulf Coast, which is in Naples, in Fort Myers, Florida. They're Division I school, and I played there for 2 years, and it was good. I what I could, I try to enjoy it. It was a little different for me, what I thought the college level was gonna be, but I tried to make the most of it. And my dream was always to play pro. And I kind of just, I had the opportunity back then to try out for a professional team down in Colombia. So I just was like, I just made the decision to just drop out. I did it on my own to just leave college. I
feel like that, like American college, especially like even years ago, like some players, like you either like are a college player or you're like not. And like I saw that all the time. Like people were amazing players, but they just didn't like fit in the system or whatever. And they're like, weren't getting time. And I'm looking, I'm like, this guy's sick. And then they either leave like what you did and go play pro, or they kind of like fizzle out.
And that's what I didn't want, because I had growing up in Miami is a lot of good players, and a lot of Spanish players, people in South Florida. So you kind of know everybody and stuff. And I had a lot of the older group of players that I know, maybe my brother's age, or even my brother, because he went to college, before me. So I saw that a lot. I saw it on players that were so good, and either the system helped them or they got into college and just didn't work. Like you're saying, maybe the style wasn't the same, and I didn't want that for me. So that's one of the big decisions why I dropped out. My coach didn't want me to leave. College was good, but I was just like, I don't want to be that player.
Yeah, and I felt like for me, it was like I fit perfectly into the system, but then like I kind of like realized quickly, it's like, well, I'm like, I can play well, and I was getting a lot of games, but like I wasn't like learning and developing technically, tactically. And then but like luckily I like recognized that and did extra work and like saw like extra trainers. But even then, after 4 years there and still doing extra work, like when I trial with Sacramento Republic, I was like, wow, I'm not like technically at the level. And everyone was like, calm down, like Matt, like you're sprinting all over here. You're just like,
you come in there.
It's just slow down and let's play,
That's funny.
And so like I was like the opposite almost. Where I had like college was really good, but I did have that transition because I was there for 4 years.
Gotcha. So you did but then it was good you realized though. Mentally, a lot of players and a lot of good players don't realize that, and they just they go through the system. And I felt that when I was there, even the first day, I remember for me, it's always been soccer, and thank God, with my dad, he's always put like a good, if you want to play professionally, you have to have some type of mindset. The first thing I noticed in college has good players all around, and the first thing I noticed was just the mental aspect of a lot of the guys. For them, just get into college, your college, you're free, obviously with the parties that come with it, and just the luxury of just like being on your own, they were looking for more for that, rather than they kind of put soccer like maybe second or third, because then school came. And that I just told myself that wasn't for me. I wanted to come in, and I was like, okay, this is cool, but I'm coming in, I thank God I got a full ride there. And for me, it was like, okay, it was soccer first, but in college it's not that, it's school first, and then maybe soccer. But a lot of guys, or just the system just kind of puts, the party, the party life or whatever it is to the side. So that's the first thing I kind of noticed.
Yeah, you can see that exactly. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Did Florida Gulf Coast, did they recruit you from like ODP or?
Yeah. So they did. I had a lot of good schools come around, but that one's like the one I kind of saw that best kind of fit me, and the coach wanted to play kind of my system, and so they recruited me from my club and ODP and all that, and it was good. They're a good school. They're a good program for sure.
Yeah. Is that like school? Is it close to Fort Lauderdale?
No, so it's like an hour and a half. It's on the other side of Florida.
Okay.
It's like by the Gulf of the other.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
By Gulf Coast.
Yeah, Gulf Coast, and So but it's good. Yeah.
But still, they're like in the same general like.
Yeah, for sure.
Florida, yeah.
For sure.
Okay, I see. And then where'd your brother go?
So my brother went to Nova Southeastern, which is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah.
And was he there all 4 years?
Yeah, he was there all 4 years. And
did he think you still had that same kind of like thought about college soccer that you did?
Yeah, he did. My brother, same way. He had that, but he kind of, ride it out, and he wanted to do his 4 years. And I think from looking at him and the things he did, like the good things and the bad things that he had to go through, because soccer-wise, is completely different, than what you're used to or what you think. And then, so kind of seeing that also, I used to go a lot, when I was still in high school, I used to go to a lot to his games because it was so close. So I kind of saw the level, and I was like, not that the level was good or bad. It was just the soccer that they were playing, or, the system also that you have. Because, what killed me, I think, in college as well is the limited time that you spend for soccer. You have these rules, and so, you don't get... I kind of analyzed all that, and I was like, no, this is not for me.
Because what is it in the winter? How many hours do you get per week? It's like 4 or something?
I think it was something ridiculous. And then with the ball, it's like you can get some hours like in the gym and
on the track, like running.
Yeah. And then that's limited at time. And so one thing for me so in the summers, I used to go a lot down to Argentina. Every summer, I had a connection down in Estudiantes in Argentina. So for 3 straight summers, I would go. And that's the top club in Argentina. So and I would train and sleep, in the dorms there with the players there. So, you kind of go from those systems, and all of a sudden, and for them in soccer, it's those kids are 14, 15 already professional. Not just as a full-on, but in their mindset. Even from 10 years old, and then so going from that and then coming back to the States and, having to experience that, you're just like, wow, well.
It's a big contrast.
Yeah, it is. So you analyze all that and you're like, all right, well, you make your own decisions. It's a long shot, but if you want to go play pro, you got to, if it's dropping out of college, not that you kind of recommend that to everybody, but if you...
You got to kind of like evaluate your situation.
Exactly, what it is you want.
That's sick. You got to go down to Argentina for 3 summers, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. And like you said, so what besides like the mindset and just like how seriously they took it, like did you just notice like the way they played and the technical aspect of it was
it was a lot more well, I think Argentina and Brazil are the countries that export the most amount of players. They're the addiction for soccer there, it's unreal. And so I think all that plays the part. I think one of the things I saw too is just the hours that they put on it. They put into soccer. The kids, like I said, at 10, 11 years old, these kids are training in the morning and afternoon. A lot of them go to school at night. Mm-hmm. And so I've seen a lot of kids here that are more talented and maybe faster, stronger, but if a kid down there is training every single day. I think, you know, back then I did a kind of like a study with one of the, well, a coach kind of showed me that study. He came from Spain. That's kind of different, but he was explaining to me how, you know, a youth level player there, it's, you know, at 14, 13 years of age, is playing 60 to 70 games a year there. And back here when we were playing, if we got 20, it's a lot. So you start seeing the difference. You could be a lot better than a player. You're more talented. Maybe you're faster, stronger. But this kid is training 4 or 5 times a week. And that was just games. Now we're talking about training. If you play 2 times with your club, that's good. But if you have another kid that's training 4 times a week or 5 times a week, after a month, you know, you just add that up and then add it in a year. And then now add it in 2-3 years. That kid's going to be, kid's going to be flying,
I know. I look back, like, because I did not come from a soccer family. My dad didn't even know. But when he was teaching me how to kick a ball, he had to, like, look up in, like, books about how to teach somebody to kick a ball. So, like, we knew nothing. And so I thought, you know, 2 times a week, whatever, go. And, like, I loved it. But, like, I was looking back, I was clueless. My whole family was clueless. Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I wish I would have seen, like, even just been able to go to that training, like, in Argentina and just watch for a week. You know, like, I'd have been like, wow, I'm doing nothing.
And, you know, it's funny now with that, like, so back then when I was growing up, I played in a club called Boca Juniors. The founder that passed away, he is now, the club is called Schultz Academy. I still is run, but that club actually, that's where Josemir Altidore came out of. Okay. So youth club, we played club with him. You know, back then he was that big already. You know, he was a great player. But the difference with that guy, he was an Austrian guy. But every youth club, I went there when I was 13 years old, 13 to 15 years old. But that guy took Josemir over when you know, he kind of. That's where Josemir grew up. Like, that was kind of his soccer father, and he got him when he was 9 years old. But that's the only guy in South Florida that we trained 5 times a week or 4 or 5 times a week. So back then back then we used to be like state champs, maybe national champs, but it was because he trained the whole week. He kind of brought that European or South American mentality, and that was it. We trained Monday through Thursday. There was no question that you trained, when other clubs had 2 training sessions a week. So that was the whole difference. And obviously you saw, you know, what that guy, what Josemir, you know, his career has done. But
it's just like you've heard of, like, the 10,000 hour rule?
No.
Some guy took, like, the average amount of hours it took for, like, someone to become, like, a master of their craft or a professional. And it was, like, averaged out to, like, it's typically like 10,000 hours.
Wow.
So, like, the people that reached the 10,000 hours earliest in life typically had, like, the best careers on average, you know?
Makes sense, definitely.
And then, like, people that hit the 10,000 hours later were amateurs or semi-pros or whatever. And they did it. It's crazy. It's really...
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's exactly what you're saying. Like,
Well, it's that hours that you put in it. You know, I would go down to Argentina and I would see, you know, you're with these kids day in, day out. You make great friends, and you're seeing, but I have a better technique than this guy. Maybe I have a better shot, or my vision's better than this kid. But then I would look back, I'm like, wow, and it was because of that. I'm like, well, yeah, they're training every single day, and you're not, you know. And they're at this level every single day, and that makes a huge difference.
And then so talk about, like, when you decided to drop out of college. And after your second year, were you, like, thinking about doing that for a while, or was that just, like, a gut decision at the time? Or
well, after my first year, I already knew, like, halfway through the season, I was like, no, this is not for me, you know. And I did my my studying was, you know, I did it to part, you know. I got my grades, but it wasn't the school that, you know, the academic that I couldn't do. It was the soccer part. So I kind of knew halfway through, you know. I talked to my parents, and obviously, you know, my mom, my dad wanted me to pursue it, and, you know, obviously mothers usually, you know, tend to, and but I talked it out, and after my second year, I just had enough, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna take that risk, because then you're risking, okay, if you want to go pro, you wait the 4 years and hope you know, if you do pretty much decent, maybe you can get in the draft or something, but that's a long shot, and that you have to, I think your school has to be, you know, a bit of a bigger school, and I just saw it too far, and I was like, you know what, let me just go and take this chance.
And were you nervous at all?
Yeah, I was. I was nervous. I was a bit nervous. Not that like I wouldn't make it. I was just most nervous at like, dang, you're gonna kind of, maybe you don't want to do something that you regret.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was kind of my nervous. But I just always knew. I think the love and the passion for the sport kind of always took over.
So I dropped out.
As well.
But I did it after my senior season. So I only really had like I needed 1 or like 2 more semesters. So I was right there finishing it.
Like, you're in the finish line.
And everybody, and my parents were pretty supportive, but everybody was like, "What are you doing? Like you're
usually your
there.
parents, usually your parents are, when you look at it, you're like, well, the finish line's right there. You might have, did you finish online or?
No, I still haven't finished.
It's easy. I look at it that too, and I was like, well, if you look at it the positive way, I already have 2 years, so if I ever want to go back, you have 2 more years, right?
Exactly.
Well, so same for you. It's a little finish that. Yeah.
It's not even a year for me. It's just boom.
Boom, there. Yeah.
It's all done.
Little semester for sure.
Mm-hmm. But it is. It's like kind of like because people probably did anybody say like, oh, you shouldn't drop out?
Oh, every single person except my mom and dad. Well, even my mom, for her. But yeah, I think parents want you to be happy, and whatever makes you happy, they want to support you. And I had the support of like my brother too. My brother was still in college. And everybody, even your friends, even close family members, they're like, "What are you doing?" Especially back then, there's not a lot of professional teams back.
Yeah, exactly. Not like the USL is.
No,
there wasn't tons
not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
And then so what'd you do? You dropped out, and where'd you go?
So I dropped out. And I kind of had, because I have a lot of family in Colombia still. I kind of had a family member that had a connection in a team, in a professional team in Colombia. So in the city in Bogota, there's more than 3 professional teams, but the first division there's 3, and there's a connection that he had in a team called La Equidad in Colombia, and so I just went for that, and it was a big shock. It was a big shock because then again, I'm not blaming it on college or nothing at all. It's just the system where we were at. It's not a professional environment. I don't think most colleges were professional environments soccer-wise.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever they're feeding you, the way you're training, the way you're doing your lifting and all that, that's probably a different topic. But for me, I saw the shock, when I went down to Colombia, I was like, I was 20 years old or 19 years old. And yeah, when I got there, I'm like, you have your head on like, okay, I want to be professional and stuff like that. I knew I had to go to the trial system. So mentally, I was just always prepared for that. But when I did go, you just see the difference of pace, the difference of, everything soccer-wise. So I just knew I had a lot. I didn't make it for sure at first with the professional team. I made it with like the reserves, the under-23s. And yeah, it was hard, but it's a good learning experience for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think if I'm going through all the people I've talked to. I don't think there's anybody that said like their first trial wasn't like somewhat of a shock, the speed of play, anything.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's like it's professional. It's the professional level. Yeah. So it's definitely faster than I feel like even college or not. Like if you're coming from any other semi-pro or lower division, it's definitely a shock.
Well, and I think for me the most shocking was, so see, in America we run a lot. That's just the system. In America we do run a lot, because of football and basketball. And however, the sports are here, the physical aspect isn't so different. So the thing I always take from college was that physically you kind of learn yourself. But I was like, well, I didn't even know I could lift that much.
Yeah.
Or I didn't even think, they kind of make you run through you puke. And so I was like, wow. But when I went to the other countries, or down to Colombia, or maybe it was Argentina, that wasn't the shock. The shock was the soccer part, like the speed of play with the ball. Yeah. So I think a lot of people misunderstand, like, when you talk about speed of play, they're thinking like, oh, these people are stronger and faster, than they're not. A lot of people in college were a lot faster and a lot stronger. Mm-hmm. It's just the speed of play in the professional environment is completely different.
Yeah.
The way the ball moves, the mentality, you have 2-3 seconds on the ball, you got to let it go. That I think was the difference. So that was the shock for me.
Yeah. That's why I had such a shock in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. It was always like Preki, like his European Serbian coach.
Yeah, I remember.
And so it was like always, Matt, release it, like one faster touches. And I was like, and I'm looking at like all the same thing, literally exact same. What you said, faster touches, but like slow down body wise. but move and think faster.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we all go through that. So
yeah,
definitely a good experience.
Yeah, and then so did you stay in Colombia after that?
So yeah, I stayed in Colombia for like a year and a half. With that U23, and it was very hard. It was very difficult. I had a difficult time just adjusting. Even though I was Colombian, I had a lot of family there. It wasn't easy. Different culture. Even though I knew the language, So now I give a lot of credit to the guys that go to like these foreign countries where you don't even know the language and all that stuff, because I had it, and I was still kind of, I wouldn't say struggling, but it just wasn't in me. It wasn't easy. America, you kind of, even college, in college they treat you really well. College, you have everything, not just with cleats, with, just the system has, there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back when you go to these places, it's not like that. So, for me, a gym that we had in college was amazing,
Yeah.
Then you go to these gyms and you're like, oh, wow, these kids are doing weights with something that you're like, wow, it's crazy here. But, so, yeah. And then, after that, after a year and a half, I didn't break into the first team. So, I kind of knew. I was like, you know what? I want to go back to the States. And then now in the States, there was more leagues starting.
Yeah.
The USL, like way before, had started, where Miami FC had a USL club back in like 2007 or 2006 it started. I don't know if you know the forward Romario, the Brazilian forward. He went to play at that. It was like USL
really?
when they first started. It was like
that.
when the Atlanta Silverbacks were it was when the USL first started. And so they were there, and then I found out that they were having a professional, a new professional league. So I was like, you know what, it's kind of time to go back to the States.
So that was that 2007, or was that, what year was that when you went back?
I went back. No. That team started like 2007. I'm not really sure. It was like 2007. 2000. No, I went back in 2000. So I dropped out of school in 2010, and I went back in 2000 at the end of 2011. Started 2012.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't think you're that old. Like,
no,
coming back already.
Oh yeah, 7. Yeah, no, I know the USL started. So I think I'm not sure. I'll have to look up. But when the USL started, it had like a lot of teams going in the league, teams dropping out the league. It was when it first started.
Yeah, and then like the quality too is just like wasn't anywhere where it's at today.
Oh no, absolutely not.
So even like when I was really looked at it when I was like 2014, still from 2014 to to
now,
today, those last 5 years.
Oh, definitely
crazy.
Oh, definitely. Well, yeah, and I saw that too because like I told you, so when we'll play the USL teams in preseason, when I started with the strikers, but the NASL, when we started with the USL teams, it wasn't like that. And then as the years went by, the USL league started to really quality started to go up a lot.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I see. So you came back around like 2011.
Yeah, so I came back at the 2011, and then in 2011 actually. So the USL has started, but then I also saw back home that the NASL started, the North American Soccer League. And for a lot of the strikers, exactly where I live, so they used to play at Lockhart Stadium, which used to be the home for the Miami Fusions. That they were in MLS. They started there in 2011, which that's the year the league started, and that's where I grew up. That's Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I went to school 2 blocks from there. My middle school and high school games sometimes used to be there. That's actually where Beckham's building the stadium now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where. He has to build a stadium for like 2 years until he gets his own stadium in Miami. They took out Lockhart, the old stadium, and they're building it there now. So
I see. Okay.
The MLS and the Inter Miami is going to play there this season. So they started there, and I was like, well, that's home. So I didn't have the good connections because I was gone for like 2-3 years with college and all that. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back, and if I have to do an open trial, I'll do it. And that's what I went back, and that's what I did.
Oh, you did an open trial?
I did. I didn't do an open trial. I got invited. I knew somebody that kind of knew me enough there, and he actually come for the 2012 season. I went to preseason with the team, but I didn't make it then. They had too many midfields at the time, and it's been in my position. But what helped me was that I was a local guy, and for me it was easy because my parents, like I told you, I grew up there. My parents lived 5-6 blocks from the stadium, and what I did was I was just a training player. I was just like, he told me I didn't make it, so he was like, I'll be interested, but I don't have space, I don't. And I was like, you know what? Is it okay if I just train with you guys? And if it ever opens up, I'll if you see that I'm able to sign, just sign me. So I spent almost 7 months just training with the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine, because that's how I broke into with Sacramento.
Really?
Just 9 months,
9 months just training with them. Oh, but you were like in Sacramento, like you have family and stuff.
Well, I was, because UC Davis, the school I went to, is 15 minutes from Sacramento.
Oh wow!
So I literally was just like lived at my college place there, and I actually did like summer school and like kind of re-entered school for a little bit. But yeah, I just drove 15 minutes into Sacramento, train with the team, drive back into Davis. Yeah,
that's crazy.
But
that's
I did
awesome.
the same thing.
Really,
that's the same thing. I did the 2-week trial, and Preki was like, "I like you. I already have 2 right backs, And I did the same thing. Well, I'm gonna be here. I was gonna just be training in Davis. Can I just come train until I figure out the next step?
Yeah.
And it kind of just turned into, can I stay here for the rest of the season? And
yeah. So you kind of like it's not like you like, for me, I was like, I don't want to. At first I told him, like, I don't want to bother you too much, but you always need players for training. So it's kind of like that way too. I'm like, I want to help you out too. But you're also helping yourself out. Like, I want this
exactly.
opportunity. It kind of like that. Yeah.
Because I was like, hey, if you want me to take the third string goalkeeper and get shots over here, I'll do that.
That's awesome.
I'll stand on the sideline. But did you find like that those 7 months it was like tough being the training player? Or did you love it or what?
Looking back now, I think and a lot of the players that we're playing now, they were at that squad there, and they made it easy for me. Like, I don't know, like Pekka from San Antonio, the U.S. From San Antonio FC, Restrepo as well. He was at that team. Lance, which is another the left back for San Antonio. So it was 3 players from there. There's a couple more in the league that were there at that time, and they made it really easy. And I was local, and for you also, I think it depends a lot on the person, but I never made it feel like I always kind of respected, respecting when I made sure I didn't fight with anybody. I made sure that I didn't have no attitude, whatever so that kind of helped me as a professional player. And then it wasn't, at first it feels weird because you kind of feel like the outsider.
Yeah.
But I think if you're smart enough and you know what place you hold in your team or in the team and with the coach as well, or in the coaching staff. So I kind of took it into my advantage, and I kind of made them like me. So it was a lot easier as the weeks went by.
Yeah, I think that's what you said about like not like being respectful as the training like player, because you don't want to be getting fights, yelling at people, especially because a younger guy. There's guys with more experience. So, But you have to like flirt that line of like being respectful, but also being like, hey, I can play.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a fine line there. You also don't want to be like that player that they either pick last or
exactly.
And you also want to show your worth. So it's definitely knowing that place. And back then you probably know it too, but we were paying for contracts, so. And like kind of on the low, you're playing for this contract, even though you're like a training player. But anytime, like, if you have a good 2-3 days, that kind of takes over, and the coach might say, you know what, I need this player. And that's kind of, I'm pretty sure that's what happened to you. And ironically, it's the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah, actually in June, so like halfway through the season, the assistant coach pulled me over and was like, look, if it comes down to it, Emer Clemente was the right back.
Okay.
And they were like, if he, if for whatever reason goes down or we lose him, like we'd sign you as the first string.
Wow.
So it was like, I like exactly that. I came in as like the third string, worked my way into the second string. And then like, fortunately for Emer, like nothing happened. He had a great season. But, I was just always ready to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you kind of fought through it, and that's a great, and that's a good mindset. Now, I think, I don't know, I'm pretty sure, as you grew up, and I think your parents or especially your family, that kind of helped you. But I don't think a lot of players have that mindset, to go through that. Also, it's not easy. It's not easy being a training player. You're also not getting paid.
Yeah.
So you have to find your way. Yeah, with family helps and all that, but, you still had you kind of pull your own weight, and there's stuff you have to do on the side. So, I think a lot of players don't have that mindset. And, it's a good thing that, we kind of did, and you kind of stuck it, even for 9 months. For me, it was the same thing. Halfway through the season, they pulled me over as well, and they're like, look, we're really looking to sign you and stuff. But fortunately, none of the midfields got injured. Midfields were good at the time, and they ended up signing a player that left Dallas at the time, FC Dallas, and he came and signed. Because they had told me, they were like 3-4 months into it, I was doing really good, and they were like, you know, we're gonna sign you in June, and then all of a sudden he needed a defender. That defender was available from Dallas, and they took him. So I stayed the whole year training.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really smart move. Like, obviously you can't do it for years and years.
No,
and years,
no,
so like, especially to break into a league like that.
Yeah.
And then so the next season, did they sign you?
Yeah. So at the end of so I signed for the 2013 season with the club. You know, come the season end, the coach pulled me to the side, and I have your contract ready, and I was really happy. So it was kind of like a tryout for a whole season. So in 2013 I started, and it was good. And so kind of really picked up. A lot of good players, a lot of older players, which you kind of learn from. So that was a good thing.
And then, so was that like your first pro contract, or did you consider it in Colombia? Like
no, I think in Colombia you kind of consider it as a, but to be honest, it's like a semi-pro because you're signed to, you're playing the reserve league, which that's kind of considered pro, but it's I feel like it wasn't full on.
You're still living the pro lifestyle.
It's a pro lifestyle, but I think you're in the reserve team. It's still youth, so I felt it very youth. It wasn't, you're not playing in like stadiums. You're not. Yeah, so I think, for Lauderdale Strikers, for sure, was my first. Even though I was in the environment, I think, now come NASL, that was the first pro contract.
How did it feel to get that first contract finally and then just put pen to paper?
Oh, that was awesome. I think looking back at it, you look at, and, you could just finally call yourself a pro. It was wonderful, and that's something you've been trying to, you dream of your whole life, whether it be, I don't know how it is. Reality, I've never signed with like a top European club, but just to say you're a pro, you're a pro. So I think that feeling, no one takes that away from you. You worked hard, regardless at the level that you get into. Saying you're gonna get paid to play soccer, it's in that way. Not for the money, but you know what I mean. Like that you're living off soccer. Yeah. So it was a great feeling.
And like you said, like even the start of this, that was like your goal, like from like the youngest possible age.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And at the time too, some of the team, like for me it wasn't easy, and I have a lot of ex teammates from the region team that they just either went first on like MLS draft, or they even before college they went pro. So I had a lot of friends that were already pro, and so you were just like, wow, he's my friend or ex-teammate, and we used to room together. We used to talk about this all the time, and he's there already. They're playing in maybe MLS, or some went to Europe, and you're just like, wow. And then you're not, you're still kind of finding your way. So to kind of sign that first contract, you're just like, oh wow, well,
I feel like you've broken through and like joined them.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of join them because I've never been like the jealous type, but it was always like I guess I wouldn't say jealousy, but it was always like this. I guess like this healthy jealousy where you're just
there needs to be a word for that, like a healthy jealousy.
It's like
you're happy for them, you're stoked, but like you're like I want to do that too.
I want to have like that feeling, you know.
And I feel like jealousy is like when you're like I want them to fail.
Which is never the case. No.
It needs to be there. Somebody needs to invent a word for that.
For sure. We'll have to look at the dictionary. I don't have that word.
And then so you said the 2013 season went well. Then that was the first.
Yeah. So my first season it went really well. I think it helped me a lot that I was training, and the coach knew me the whole year before. That transition made it easier. At the time there was some good midfielders in strikers. Like I said, I think NASL, there was a lot of older players. A lot of older players were there, so experienced players, good players, and it was hard to break in, but once I broke in, it was good. And I remember my debut, and I think, on my debut, I got an assist. We played Minnesota. I got an assist. I got into Team of the Week. That's my debut game. So it was nice. It was a good experience. But it made it all easier that I was a training player. I kind of knew what to expect, the level to expect, how games work, because I never missed a game. Even I was training, I'll go into the games trying to see, what's going on. And
so the transition from, because you were there.
Which I'm pretty sure was the same for you.
Well, I switched, same thing pretty much. You're already at the same league, same level.
Definitely.
And then so where'd you go? So after the 2013 season, what was after that?
So for Lauderdale Strikers, I stayed from 2013 to 2016 when they folded. Okay. So I played 4 seasons there.
So how was that returning each year? Just was a huge jump. Did you feel like in terms of yourself and your play?
Definitely. Yeah, it was a big jump, I think, and it helped too that over the years the NASL just started to pick up, more teams pick up, salaries went up, the league just picked up. It was good. I felt it. Not just obviously you feel it like in money wise, but experience wise, and in every aspect you just felt more and more as a professional player. Stadiums are starting to get better. Teams are starting to get good players. 2014, Marco Senna joined the Cosmos, so that was huge for the league, and league started to pick up, and it was well. When Open Cup will come around, we started playing and actually beating some MLS teams, so that was good. The word started to get around, that the level was good. So in South Florida, there's a lot of professional teams come to preseason. So you have teams like Boca Juniors or Santos of Brazil or Flamengo Brazil, River Plate. They'll all come to South Florida because of the weather, because of preseason. So you always get games against them, scrimmages against them. Yeah. So then once you start, since 2013, like our preseason, I know it's hard for, even teams like us, we get colleges here, all the stuff. There you get it as well. But come preseason, since our preseason is in January, it's also preseason for a lot of teams there. So you'll play like Swedish teams like Malmo and stuff. So like my first preseason games was against Malmo. Wow. So it's still different, like playing them than a college. Nothing against the college.
But it is a different level. Yeah.
So that helped. That helped tremendously. So now you're comparing. I remember one time we even screamed Juventus that they were down there. So it's a lot of games and then you start like saying, wow, okay, well, that's not too different from me, and then you start comparing yourself. I think as a soccer player, that's what you do, especially against better and more established teams, and that's what started happening. So as the years went by, I was really, really happy. It kind of everything that you worked on for and stuff, you kind of was happening.
Yeah, it's paying off.
Yeah, it definitely was paying off.
What was your favorite like preseason team or player do you have like one that sticks out at all?
As a pro wise, because I had an experience. So when I was in the Estudiantes, like my last year that I went there right before college, this was my favorite moment. There was a lot of times if you were we were U16 at the time, but sometimes the reserve team couldn't play, and the first team needed some players or a team to scrimmage. They'll pick out like good players to go play the first team. And at the time, I don't know if you ever heard of the player Veron, the midfielder. Yeah, he played for Man United. He was top midfield at the time. And they called me up and they were like, hey, look, I was doing well that week, and they're like, oh, look, you got picked. We're gonna go scrimmage the first team because they need a scrimmage. And I had no idea, and I didn't think he was gonna play. And that year they won the Copa Libertadores. He just returned from Inter Milan in Italy, and and it all happened so fast. And he has always been my idol. And then I played against him, and I was like, wow, like this for me. He was always a top midfielder, and there I kind of learned like what soccer was about. Like this guy was slow. He was very slow. He was like skinny. And I was like, well, what's so different from this guy? He's slow. The game started. I couldn't get near. You can't get near him. Yeah. He played. I always say he didn't even play at one touch. He played at half a touch.
I like that.
It was insane. I was like, and there I started to realize the technique, the mindset of a top professional. This guy played for Man United. Played a lot of World Cups. He captained Argentina a lot. So that kind of sticks out. That was like awesome. My favorite. Yeah, that was like my favorite. And then come preseason with strikers, we played a lot of good teams. Like I told you, we scrimmaged Juventus. Like Pogba was there. Like a lot of players were there. River, Boca, Tevez would be able. So a lot of players there. But no, for me that was my favorite moment. But all these moments that you play against these teams are good as well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too. Like it's like you're seeing them and like even though you're playing not at the top level in Europe, the level between it is, it's close. It's hard because everyone's like, oh yeah, sure, you're not that level, but honestly, it's like it gets as you go up and up and up, the levels between the top and the next level down is like the tiny margin.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people that maybe watch it from TV are like, that can't be, but literally it's like that. It's like it's not even a 1, it's like a half, and you're just like this level, and that's what I think makes it good, because even players from below can go up so fast because it's so little, and vice versa. You're at the top level, and there's people breathing in your back,
and bad games, and ding, 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 ding.
So that's definitely good.
Mm-hmm. And then once Fort Lauderdale Strikers folded, how was that? Like, cause did that come out of the blue, or?
Yeah, so that was a big hit. So that's when things started to get really, really bad, because well, I wouldn't say bad. I mean, it's all learning experience, and everything, that happens in life, definitely happens for a reason. But like I said, so from 2013 to 2016 was 4 seasons with the club, and everything just started to become better and better. NASL started to pick up. Strikers started to pick up. We had new owners, and we went to China for preseason. 2016 China to preseason. The year before that, we went to Brazil for preseason. And this wasn't even for preseason. So, and then we even got into 2016, we were in the Florida Cup. I don't know if you ever heard of the Florida Cup, but Florida Cup is like, at that year, it was like Bayer Leverkusen, it was like Schalke, Corinthians, Shakhtar Donetsk. So those were our preseason games come in January. So I remember 2016, we had a game in Orlando against Schalke. And that was our preseason. So you can kind of tell what level, and and to play these teams, you can't, you have to have also a good team. And I think 2016, I was the only player in the team who hadn't played in a first division somewhere. We had a lot of Brazilians, so everybody else had either played MLS or first division somewhere. We had Cleverson at the time. He played in India a lot of years. He played for Man United, and he won the World Cup with. So we had those type of players. And we had some very experienced players. So it got that well, and everything just folded in 2016. Our team folded, and the league was having problems. And so that was a huge shock.
Because I actually remember seeing that, like when the headline that popped up, like Fort Lauderdale Strikers folded, and I was like, uh-oh. Because you never, even I was in the USL at that point, and like, because you just don't want to see American teams fold.
Oh,
it's
not
good.
At all. Not
it's less
at all.
jobs. It's everything. Yeah. So what did you do?
So 2016 hit, and that year I had signed a 2-year deal with the club, so 2016 and 2017. So I kind of secured myself, like the place I was living. I had for like 2 years. So it was shocking, and then I didn't know what to do. I was in a disbelief. I really had USL didn't even cross my mind at the time, and then I went to I tried out to go to other NASL teams, but they had players, and I don't know if you know, but the NASL folded, the whole league folded 2017. But from 2016 to 2017, Tampa Bay had left, Rayo in OKC had left as well, and we had left. So there was no jobs for NASL players unless you wanted to go to USL.
And to be honest, like especially at that time, going from the NASL to the USL was like, it seemed like a drop down.
Yeah, for us at the time it did. Yeah, not gonna lie, it did. And that's what I didn't want, even when your agent would contact some of the teams and they spoke about the salaries, you were like, there's no way. You even, it wasn't, and it wasn't in like a cocky way that you kind of saw it. You were used to something. And you were just like, there's no way I'm either going to play for that or I'm going to this team. There's no way.
Because I mean, like when I was in the USL, I was like, I want to get a couple good seasons and then push up to the NASL. That was like the way I was thinking. So it makes sense that it was like, oh yeah, you're going to drop down.
You definitely saw it as a drop down. And then, you play a lot of USL teams in the Open Cup too, so you kind of saw the level so that's what happened. And I didn't even try in the USL. So when it did fold, I I tried for other NASL teams. Miami FC was at the time there, and they, when I spoke to them, the coaching staff was like, well, obviously, the good thing I was in the league for a while, so other teams kind of know you if you're in the league for a while. But they were like, there's no, we don't have players. There's like, I think at the time there was probably more than 100 players without a job.
Yeah.
And everybody's just scrambling. Yeah. And I think at the time Miami FC had 8 midfielders. They had like 5, 6 in my position. So there I couldn't play. Yeah. And so for a whole year I was with no club. I just did it on my own. 2017 I had no club.
You just trained on your own?
I trained on my own now.
And little pickup that you could
pick up,
get?
it was pick up. And which looking back now wasn't the best decision for me. I wouldn't say arrogance, but I did have this arrogancy, I guess, with me, saying I'm not going to go to the USL or I'm not going to go to a club where I'm going to get this amount of money. And yeah, so I didn't for the whole 2017 season.
Did you, at that point, like when you were training by yourself and doing all that stuff and kind of like without a club, did you think ever about quitting, or were you just
not at all? No,
it was just like it's whatever, something will work out.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
obviously
good.
those thoughts, I won't say they do cross your mind. I think we're all, I'm sure, every player at that moment, or there's even players, when they get with no club. Yeah, you get that, but they just go out the window,
Yeah, you have like a bad day, and then
the next day. Good thing I think it's important you surround yourself with good friends, and my brother always helped me a lot. My father, my family. And yeah, you're not gonna quit. You just train. In Miami, there's a lot of like men's league teams. There's good men's league really level. Yeah, so that helped too. That I was in that environment.
And then, so after that full year, what happened in 2018?
So for 2018, it was funny. So 2017, I actually, so that was funny. So I wasn't with no team, but I had this back home, since the agents or coaches kind of knew I played for the Strikers and I had a decent career in the NASL. And that year, it was funny. I got this phone call from a friend, and he kind of told me to. He knew the coach for Mississippi Brillo, which is a PDL team, and Mississippi, and they were in the Final Four.
Okay.
They were in the Final Four of the PDL, and he got called me to see if I can just go help him for the Final Four.
I see.
And then so I went for that, and I think we lost in the final of the PDL that year. So I just skipped and I went to there, and then from there I actually did good, and it was weird for me. I didn't want to do it at the time, but it was 6-7 months without nothing, and then you're kind of like you stop, kind of being like, I say it wasn't like a baby. I wasn't a baby, but you start being like, okay, well, look, it's over. Like NASL, and at that moment, NASL, the league wasn't very good. Like everybody kind of knew at the end of the year it was gonna fold, and so I just went there. I took it, and we did well, and we lost the final. But then out of that, a tryout in Louisville came.
Okay.
In Louisville, and they had just won I went before they won the season in 2017. And so I went there with Louisville, and it was like towards the end. But then the coach at the time was James O'Connor from the one from Orlando City. He invited me back for preseason in the next year in 2018.
Okay.
So I started. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's I feel like too, it's like just that word, like disbelief, like all of 2017, like I can't believe it happened. And it's like almost like shock of like I don't want to immediately drop back down and like lower my market value, do anything. So it's kind of like waiting, and then all of a sudden as months go by, you're like, okay, maybe I should make a step. Like,
definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's crazy though. So you go and then just a couple like games or one game or whatever, and then all of a sudden because you did well there and the team did well, then invited to the Louisville.
Well, yeah, and then so the coach from there kind of knew, and he was very thankful with me to come and try to like help him out, whatever I can, and he liked my attitude, and he kind of knew the coach from Louisville, and so he told me, he's like, hey, look, maybe you want to go there because they're a good team, and and so I did. But yeah, definitely helped. And now looking back, it was like, okay, it's a good decisions that you make.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you were, and I think that's also maturity. You know, maturity comes at that time, and I hope now looking back, if I do look back, maybe I would have. Hopefully, that maturity was sooner. Because then I wasn't, 6-7 months without a club, or the whole year without a club.
Yeah.
But that's how you learn, from errors.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then so 2018, did you go into
preseason? So 2018, I went to preseason. I did, I was up in Louisville for like 2 months. We came back down for a preseason, and I was at Bradenton. But things didn't work out there. I also wasn't too happy with some of the stuff there, and then Miami FC was still around. Miami FC, the club now that they're in the NPSL.
Yeah.
But they were also starting, and back then, NASL was going to, supposedly NASL was still gonna come and play in the summer, and I also had some connections there. My agent had some connection there, and so I kind of took the Miami FC. Money wise, it was good. It was kind of basically like NASL club, NASL contracts, because NASL was gonna be back in the. So it's kind of like a weird situation. A lot of people might be confused or not, but NASL salaries were really good, and the environment was just very, very professional.
Yeah.
So I kind of went for that.
Yeah, because we talked about this like even a few days ago or something.
Yeah.
Where it was like technically it was like a in terms of like the tier system, it was like a drop down, but it was really still an NASL club in the NPSL.
Definitely. Yeah, the budget was insane. They still had the NASL budget. And I think if we didn't win it in 2018, I think they won it again this year. If you don't win it, I mean, with that type of budget and those type of players, no way you can lose.
Yeah.
Especially NPSL. Being a semi-pro league, it's not. Yeah,
you could just like competing against like a whole different teams, and levels and everything.
Teams, the teams that actually play against the Miami FC, it's very hard to compete.
But you said what you said. Like it was that year was tough because you would go play at like old high school. Sometimes.
Very tough. Yeah. So back then, I think also as a soccer player, sometimes you're thinking. I always kind of say like sometimes you forget about the ball. You're thinking other stuff, which is normal. You have to think about your career. Your money is important. Wherever you're at is important. It also I was back home. I was like, well, I want to go back home.
Yeah.
Close and you forget kind of about the soccer, and it was tough because you're playing in high schools. You're playing these teams that don't have these things that your club has or other professional clubs have. So it was very tough. Good thing it was. Training was better than games, because you're training against, yourself. So that was tough. And then that was the year when I was like, okay, whatever it takes, but I have to get back to the USL, obviously we all dream of going to MLS, but, USL is like that next step that you see, and it's, a lot easier to get into. So I was like, whatever it takes, I'm going to just go back to the USL, no matter money or no matter anything. So that's how kind of this came about.
Yeah. So then after that season, you were just wanted the ball, like that, the soccer aspect to be
definitely
as best as it could.
Yeah, as best. And back then, one of my best friends is Jose Angulo, which you played with, back when he was at the Strikers. Me and him formed really good, kind of like a brotherly bond. And he was at the time in St. Louis, and he went to Oklahoma. And he had already played for the USL. And he had told me, because he went from USL, he went USL, MLS, then USL again, then NASL. And he loved the NASL, but he was telling me that the USL was picking up.
Yeah.
From 2017, it was picking up. And I also had other teammates like Diego Restrepo, he was also with me at the Strikers. Then for the 2017, went to San Antonio. So I was talking to all of them, and they kept telling me,
It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better.
It's not like what it used to be. Yeah.
Definitely. And then, but now, since you kind of had this immaturity about you, now it's not easy to get in. So now you got to go again through the trial process to get in, because I think one of the things as players, you think, you think that people know you, and, it's not a bad way to think about yourself. Like, it's good, but we don't understand at the time, or when we have that mindset that the soccer, it's huge. You have too many players. It's insane, the amount of players, and everybody, you know, unless you're like this huge player from before, but it's not easy to get a club. It's not easy at all.
It's not.
Coaches have a scout of 300 players, 150 players, and if you're lucky, you know, you get chosen, and if you fit their systems and stuff, so it's not easy.
Yeah, and I think that like that thing too is like, you were in the NASL for year after year after year, and at that like coaches knew you, players knew you, everything. And then 1 year out of it, it's like such a fast turnover. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, he played it. Like I think he played it Fort Lauderdale versus like, oh yeah, where it was like 2 years before, a year before, it's like, oh yeah, Manny Gonzalez, you know, boom. Yeah. Like that's the same thing when I dropped down after the 2018 when I didn't get a team for 2018, I had to go to New Zealand. It was so hard. Like even teams and coaches that I knew, and I just hit them back up. They're like, oh yeah, well, where'd you play last year? You know,
that's like, crazy. So you have the same experience.
It's tough, and I didn't expect it to be so hard. The same thing to get back into the league.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like the ball is rolling and it doesn't stop. Some players or the train, you know, some players want to get in there, and if you take like a 5-minute like quick stop and, you know, you get down to get coffee or whatever, that train's still going, and you're just like, wow. Definitely.
And then so how did you get in contact with the Roughnecks?
So with the Roughnecks, my agent he knew Coach and Coach Essien, and they kind of did their, you know, license together. 'Cause at the time, the agent that I was working with, the agency he was in, he knew Coach, and they kind of had they have a good, you know, friendship. And Coach Essien last year, I guess he took over the team, you know, a little bit past the summer, and my MPSL season was done, and my assistant coach at the time, that was him. That was kind of like, through his agency I was working, he was one of the assistants at Miami, and he told me like, hey, look, my there's this opportunity, you know, Mike is looking at some players, and our MPSL season was done. There was nothing I was doing, and I said, you know what, why not? And so I came over last year for about a week. I'm not exactly sure, it was around August, and coach was very nice, and you know, I think I mean, I don't know if it happens to you, but now you feel like a pro at tryouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if it happens to you. Yeah. You kind of feel like a pro at tryouts, because you're just like, okay, you know what to expect. You've been there. You know what coaches are looking for. So many confidence. You have the confidence. You have the composure. Also, you know how to treat your teammates. You know how to. It just. Over the years, you start, especially, you know, a full year, it was, you know, the same thing. You did it for a whole year, so trials started to become easier. And so when I came, it was 2-3 days, and I talked to Coach, and it was already August, season was almost over, but we talked about next year, and I really liked, you know, Coach and what he was building here. So there was no brainer for me, and
I think we must have missed each other by like 3 weeks or something, because
really?
I came in September.
Oh, so I definitely missed it. I came in August. I forget exactly what day in August. That's crazy.
Yeah, because I came in September, and then I was here for like a week or two, and I was going to go back, and then but then I was like, I had a place to stay with one of the guys, Ivan Mirkovic, one of the defensive center mids. And then I was like, you know what? Do you mind if I stay here for just train? And
really?
So I just stayed for like 5 weeks. Yeah.
Really?
Just until the season ended.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah. So I definitely missed you. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
It's funny. I don't even know that. But and then so you did, you know, like you said, you kind of know how to do the trials. And you know how to like compose yourself and be like, show confidence without arrogance.
Exactly.
Be respectful, but also get respect, you know. And then so you signed the contract in off season, and then you're back into the
back in January. And then I was and I was very excited, you know. It also helped that you came. So you kind of knew what was expected. You know, I kind of one of the nights you know, with myself, I kind of went around the city. I went downtown. I kind of walked around, and even during the day, I'll try to walk around and, you know, see the places. So, you know, kind of get a feel for it. But I was happy. I was happy. I made that decision.
And so and then how has been this year, just 2019 for you?
For me, it's been good. I mean, I think. Well, I was injured for a lot of the preseason, so that wasn't, for me, it was a first. I've never been injured.
Yeah.
I've never been injured throughout my whole career, even college or youth. I've never been injured. I've never had a broken bone. And so this preseason I missed more than a month, and so that was tough for me because I'm really big in practicing. Practicing is very important. So missing that, especially preseason, such a important season, 'cause that's where you kind of get your base.
Yeah.
That was in a personal level, kind of. I would say it was a setback for me because then season started. I'm playing catch up, not just the fitness but the soccer rhythm. So yeah, I think from an individual point, I think it's gone from less to more, and I think now and because I missed that preseason, I think with every coach you kind of have to learn his ways and what he wants from you. Every coach is different. So I think that preseason is a very good time to do that. And unfortunately, I didn't have that with Coach Mike in the preseason. So again, during season, I was playing catch up. But the problem is during season, there's no time to play catch up.
Yeah.
Because
you're just already in it.
Yeah, you're already in it, and games are important. And so I was playing catch up through the season, and so I think for the past 2-3 months I felt way better, and just because I finally felt like, okay, I catched up, I know exactly what coach wants and demands in this position. And so for the past 2-3 months I felt really good, like I felt myself, I felt comfortable and stuff, and I didn't at the beginning.
Yeah, you just found like your groove.
Yeah, exactly, and that takes time. It's all rhythm, and soccer's all rhythm. You got to get the ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And then so then basically that brings us to today. Now we have like
definitely
2 weeks left in season.
Yeah.
And then so I'm just gonna end basically the podcast with like just like 3 questions I ask all the players. Okay. The first is what's been the absolute best moment of your entire career? Is there any like day or season or game or something that sticks out?
Yeah. For me, the best moment was my first professional game. Like I said, it was I never forget. It's your first professional game. We were playing at home. I'm a local. I was a local at the club, so I had a lot of family, a lot of friends, and the team wasn't doing so good. And the coach gave me the opportunity. I think we had lost we lost 3 and tied 1, and coach gave me the opportunity against Minnesota, which is a good team. And that game, we won 2-1. I got one of the assists, and I got team of the week that week. So for me, that's been like my best moment, just because kind of what it was, and you kind of get thrown in the team when the team's not doing good, so they're expecting for you to do good. So that was definitely my best moment.
That's cool, because assist on the debut.
Yeah,
team of the week.
And then team of the week, which I wasn't expecting to get team of the week. And then it was good,
especially at home too, in front of all your family and friends and stuff.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And then now the other one, the flip side is there been any like the lowest part of your career?
Yeah, the lowest part of my career was definitely that 2017 season. With no club. Sometimes it's funny, but you find yourself, even. You get used to some type of comfort, that's what you live off, and NASL at the time was paying well, and come 2017, you have to find ways to pay your bills, and you just, you don't have a club, you don't have a clue kind of like what you're doing, and you kind of hit rock bottom there. Life kind of just puts you in that moment, and looking back now, I'm grateful for that moment. You get stronger, you get more mature there. But it's funny because you in Miami, there's a lot of these like Sunday leagues that you play for money, and they actually give you good money.
There's the same thing in California.
Really?
In LA,
Oh, it's sick.
You make good money.
It's good level too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of ex pros there, and guys, those guys pay well there. So I never had to go through that, and I have a lot of friends that do that. They don't play pro, but they're really good players as well. And sometimes it's dirt fields, and it's in situations where and it's funny because there's next to Lockhart, or where Lockhart used to be, half a mile away, there's one of those fields, and it's like a tiny stadium, and then it hurts. You're in the lowest point because you're just you're wearing these you're playing with a lot of it's a lot of Mexicans out there, a lot of South Americans out there, and the environment, you know, it's dogs running around sometimes, and it's that was tough. In the beginning, it was tough. But you kind of
and you feel like you can almost see Lockhart Stadium.
Oh, you see it right there. It was and so that was my lowest point. But it humbles you, and I think players have to go through that. You know, then you start being more grateful and.
Like you say, you grow a lot.
Like, that's what you need. Looking back at it now, I'm glad that happened. You know, you grow so much. So that was the lowest point.
And then my last question is, if you can go if you could hop into a time machine and go back to younger Manny at any time, when would you go back and what would you say to him?
I'll go back when I was around 13, 14, and I would obviously say to him and kind of establish more of like a professional mindset, you know, from that age. Not that, you know, I had it, but it could always been a lot better in eating and going to the gym and just being fitter and spending more time with the ball and worrying more about that, because you start seeing how those things are like the little difference that makes it kind of professional at the higher level. So I'll definitely tell myself that.
I like that. I like that a lot. And then anything else you want to say?
No, not at all. No, this was great. It's a good experience. I haven't talked about this. I don't think no one knows this, so it's good. It's good. Other than my family, but it's good. I hope, you know, there are a lot of kids watching, or a lot of players that want to play pro watching. Hopefully they take that, and all the guys that you have here take it as an experience and trying to learn, and hopefully it helps them, you know, if they get put in situations similar to that, maybe, you know, they can look towards this or other players and say, well, they went through it, this is how they kind of got through it. So
that's exactly how I viewed it. It's like you can literally live vicariously through like everybody else's experiences. Because you don't know that. I felt like when I was a kid, I literally thought that all like the pros that you see, just like, oh man, they just signed an early contract and it's just been all sunshine and rainbows and playing everything.
And that's what you think when
you think that. But then then once you hear everybody's story, it's like crazy. It really is. It's insane to listen to and see like how it's all similar, but everybody's also so different at the same time.
Definitely. No, and then you see even these big time pros that they millionaires now and they're playing so well. You look back, you kind of, if you do your research and you Google them, you're like, wait, did he play for this team? This guy was playing in this team. You know, there's a forward, a Colombian forward. His name is you know, kind of crossed my mind now. He plays for Villarreal but at 20 years old, he was a fisherman. In Colombia, he was playing for Villarreal. He plays for a national team, and those are stories that you look back and you're like, 20 years old, he was a fisherman. Swear to God, he was a fisherman. So you look through the stories, you're like, wow, if this guy makes it, then you know we could all definitely make it.
Definitely. All right. Well, this was the Against All Odds podcast with Manny, and catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All right. Thank you guys.